Good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Women in Ministry TV. I'm your host today, Mary Beal, and I want to just take a moment to pray and just thank God for another day, for another opportunity to come and share with you some information on the family. Today, my topic is today's perspective on family. And I want to pull that presentation up. So if you just bear with me a minute and I'll pull that presentation up. So I hope everybody's having a great afternoon and evening. Uh, we are a little bit slow here in pulling this presentation uh, up. And so it should be coming up shortly. And I have a lot of information. I took a different approach today because there's been so much in the news concerning family issues. And so I decided to, I'm going to add this to the stage so that you can see my presentation. Um, and this should be coming in just momentarily. Oh, it's here. I've titled it Perspective on Today's Family. And what I did is I looked at the Pew Research Center because they get opinions, they get information and share information on various topics that are of interest to a broad level of the population. And as we go through the slides, you will see some of the information that they collect data on and actually do surveys on. So the focus today is going to be from this perspective, based on information they have collected and reported on. But before we get into that, I just want to recap a little bit about myself in terms of what I do in MLBO consulting. So I have three areas that I have been working on for the last several years: health and wellness advocacy, estate planning and paralegal assistance, family history and research. But I've been led to add some things based on requests from individuals. And the next slide will show the two areas that I'm adding during 2024, which are family mentoring and coaching and public speaking. So those are some things that I'm adding to what I offer in terms of my experience, education, and skills. So with that, we're going to proceed on into today's perspective on today's family. And I say our global family. And as I said earlier, this information is based on a lot of information that is shared through reports from the Pew Research Center, a nonprofit organization. It is an American think tank. It provides global information on various issues, social issues, public opinion, and demographics. And that's what I will be sharing with you today. And And the Pew Research Center topics that pertains to the family directly are these topics that are shown on the screen, which is immigration and migration, race and ethnicity, religion, age and generations, gender and LGBTQ, and family and relationships. As those who have been following me have uh, noticed that I have been talking on family and relationships for the last few months. So with this, we're going to continue. Immigration, you all heard that being in the news a lot. So I'm going to take a little bit of time on this. And we have talked about immigration and migration as one of the reasons why there is separation and disconnects within family units. Migration is another area because people have moved to different areas and looking for work or looking for a better way of life. and some to escape a harsh way of life in terms of violence, uh, political persecution, etc. Race and ethnicity is another area that we said has, we didn't talk a lot about this, and we're going to talk about this more in a future session because it can become very difficult to talk about race and ethnicity in this country because of the history, but we have to go beyond that. So we have to take some time to peel back the onion in this particular area. Again, religion. Religion is another area where we oftentimes get in heated debates, but they should not be something to be debated. Is something to understand and appreciate others' views. Age and generation is an area where we say there are generation gaps, and you hear often people talk about the successive generation, but I'm going to speak about that more in details on another uh, broadcast. Gender and LGBTQ is another area that has been in the news in recent months and years, and we're going to talk about that, but not today. We're just giving you an overview, and we will show how all of these affect this report, but in the detailed analysis of these, we're not going to be doing that today. Family and relationships, we're going to talk a little bit more about that today because we have been talking about this and talking about uh, causes for family being disconnected and ways in which the family can reunite. So we're going to talk about family and relationship in relationship to the Pew Research report. The modern American family, according to the Pew Research Center, it said the American family has undergone significant changes in recent decades. We have also noted that. He just restated what a lot of us have experienced. It's there's no longer one dominant family form, and we're going to talk about the various forms of families that we see in our society today. And then he says Americans are experiencing family life in increasing diverse ways. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that because we're going to look at each one of them in connection with this report. Some of the key trends in marriage and family lives. This may surprise some people, but you may have not seen it with statistics as we have here. But in the 1970s, said 67% of Americans ages 25 to 49 were living with their spouse and one or more children under the age of 18. That was in 1970. Then it says over the past 5 decades, that share has dropped to 37%. And there are some reasons which we will be disclosing. And so there has been an increase in other types of family living arrangements in recent years. And it says a recent survey of the public shows um, some has accepted some of the family types more than others. So, as I said, we as we go on, family types. Here are the family types that were listed in the Pew Center's report: married with kids, cohabitating with kids, unpartnered with kids, in other words, single, married, no kids, cohabitating with no kids, and other family members. And the percentage was married with kids has changed substantially, and that will be shared. Cohabitating with kids, unpartnered with kids, in other words, as I said earlier, not married, or sometimes it's just people getting together for economic reasons, sometimes for other reasons. And marriage, that is, a lot of married couples have decided not to have kids. So the trends in marriage is another area that the Pew Center addressed in detail. Says trends in marriage and fertility, along with shifting social norms and important legal changes, have reshaped the American family. Well, it has made it available so that the family could be reshaped, or people have chose to do that. It says the survey showed no consensus about marriage. It said the majority of those surveys say fewer people are marrying these days. More couples are living together without being married. The baseline support for a variety of family arrangements address that. The public still favors some types of family over others. In other words, there are certain types of families that society has changed. In other words, when we talked about the LGBTQ, some people think that they should not be raising kids. There are different opinions, and this is just a report by the Pew. These are not my views nor the women in ministry. I just want to share what is there in the public domain concerning this topic. As a few Americans say marriage and parenthood are central to living a fulfilling life. Um, I have my own opinion on that, which we're not going to be sharing today, but you can reach me later and I'll share them with you. And then here are the survey topics from the Pew survey: the future of the family, views on different family types, views of divorce and open marriage, family responsibility, and what makes a fulfilling life. Now, of course, we would not be able to cover all of these topics today, but I want to share with you the future of our family. I'm going to talk on that because uh, late last year, I had an opportunity to appear on a podcast with um, Queen Esther, and she has a podcast called The Future of Our Family. And that was quite interesting. I'll share a little bit from that. If I can pull in a short video from that podcast, I will do that, but I'm not going to promise you because of time and also because of techno- technology backup today. I don't have that. And then the view of different family types, I just listed several of them. Uh, I was the first type. I was a family that grew up with a two-parent household all of my life. So, but I am 77 years old, so I'm after the 1970 guidelines that was used earlier. So, but there will be some statistics from the 1960s, which I can also relate to in here. And this the survey results in summary. It says Americans are more pessimistic than optimistic about the institution of marriage and the family. And that's a sad note because family is what make up society. And society and organization is the family is the first organization that God created. So that's kind of sad right there in terms of the pessimism about marriage and the family. It's a little discouraging, but we can work on that. We can always improve because it says that we can do all things through Jesus Christ who strengthens us. So if we get involved and be intentional about it, we can change or help make an impact rather on that particular outcome. This is overall 40% say they are very or somewhat pessimistic, while 25% or more or very somewhat optimistic. Well, why is that? There are a number of reasons, and the Pew report talked about some of those in detail. And it says about 3 in 10, 29% says they are neither optimistic or pessimistic. So they are in the middle of the road, so they will not make a decision. And the Bible has a scripture that basically correlates with this. You know, it says that a double-minded person, and I'm not going to go into that, but there is where they can't make up their mind whether they are optimistic or pessimistic. It's kind of sad in terms of from a societal standpoint. And it says that the majority say they are pessimistic about the country's moral, and standards and the education system. And then again, as I said, we have an opportunity to make a positive impact. And we must do that in order to survive as a democracy and as a nation. So we have to intentionally work on that. Could you hold just one moment? I'm going to pause just for. Okay, I apologize. I want to go into the statistics. Um, this is one of the reports that from the Pew organization, the study they did in 2023, and it talks about a breakdown on the survey about pessimistic and optimistic, and the ones that are neither. And it says all adults that they surveyed, 40% were pessimistic, 25% were optimistic, and 29% was neither pessimistic nor optimistic. And then it goes on and they're breaking it down by race or ethnic group. Whites were 43% pessimistic, optimistic, they were 25, and for neither um, neither optimistic or pessimistic was 29. Where blacks were 30% pessimistic, 29% optimistic, and 29% neither optimistic nor pessimistic. Hispanic, 34% were pessimistic, 29% were optimistic, and 31% was neither pessimistic nor optimistic. Asian, and they put a footnote on Asian because those that spoke English is what the survey said. And that is 40% were pessimistic, 28% were optimistic, and 30% was neither pessimistic nor optimistic. And then they broke it down to ages. And this what was concerning to me. The ages 18 to 29, 32% were pessimistic, 23% were optimistic, and 37% were neither optimistic nor pessimistic. That's kind of high because usually that age group, you know, um, I guess not. It varies, I guess, but for some reason that one stood out to me. And then the age group 30 to 49, 38% were pessimistic, 25% were optimistic, and 32% were neither pessimistic or optimistic. And the age group 50 to 64, it increased. 41% were pessimistic, and 28% were optimistic, with 25% neither pessimistic or nor optimistic. And then the age group 65 plus, which I fall in, 48% were pessimistic, 28% were optimistic, and 23% were neither optimistic nor pessimistic. And then it goes on um, between the Republican leaning and the Democrats. And it says the Republicans were 56% pessimistic and 20% optimistic and 21% neither optimistic nor pessimistic. And the Democrats were 25% pessimistic 32% optimistic, and 36% neither optimistic nor pessimistic. This was very interesting to me, and I want to spend some more time on this because we need to change this type of views in terms of our view on the institution of marriage and the family. If we want to see change in our society, we are going to have to work to improve these views, and it has to be intentional. And I see ministry and faith-based organization and nonprofit organization playing a key role in building our citizens in the area of being optimistic about the future. Now, here they broke out the future of the family and says many Americans are pessimistic about the future of the family, saying or thinking about the future of our country in general. They feel about the institution of marriage and the family. 25% was optimistic, 40% was pessimistic, and 29% was neither pessimistic nor optimistic. So we see we have a lot of work to do. And as we move in this area, I have ideas, and I'm sure the Pew Center have ideas as well as others. But we need to come together with a united front to change this attitude, these opinions about the status and the future of our families. And it's going to take work. It's going to take dedication. It's going to take collaboration. It's going to take a whole lot to change these statistics around. And we need to start measuring this in our local community uh, so that we can make a difference. And I have some ideas that I will be sharing in the next few days on this. Um, and let's continue on a little bit here. Here are some of the concerns for the future of our families as shown in the Pew Report. It says a growing concern about falling birth rates, declining rates of marriage, and a growing unease about the burdens of America's parents have led many conservatives to take family oriented public policy serious. Well, we need to take it serious because as we see the breakdown in our society in terms of a number of crimes, a number of social issues, a number of homeless, we need to take the family more serious. We need to take the burden that America is experiencing with homelessness, with incarceration rates, juvenile crime, a number of things that we need to take in consideration and start working with parents to help resolve some of the issues, help ease the burdens that have fallen on the American society. And say the flowering rhetoric and ideas around ensuring that families are at the center of our economy is genuinely laudable. In other words, it's okay to talk about it, but we got to be about it. We got to do something about it. We have to do something constructive concerning our families, the parents that are struggling, the children that are suffering. We don't want our children to be collateral damage in our society because we have failed to do the things that's necessary in order to ensure that our family are healthy and healthy in the sense of overall, in terms of spirituality, in terms of educational, health wise. We just need to take more interest in the family unit, and that includes parents and children. And so the problem facing American families are real. They are very real. They are very real. The incarceration rate should be one of the indications. The court backs law. The homelessness rate, the problem with schools and discipline in the schools. All of these are indications that we have problem, and we need. And I believe in my deep within my soul that we as a country have the capability, and we need to have the will to tackle the problem, not based on our own individual perspective, but from a communal perspective. Uh, I can't expect a child born in a family with a single parent to have the life I had because I was blessed. I was blessed with a two-parent home. I was blessed with siblings. I was blessed with grandparents. I was blessed with neighbors. So I cannot expect everyone to have my same perspective, but I can share with them some proven techniques that will help the family improve uh, their plight in life in terms of having a fulfilling life. The problem, uh, as I said, they're real. And we have to open our eyes, not just our physical eyes, but we have to open our spiritual eyes to see what's going on in our communities, in our neighborhood, and right in our home. We need to open our eyes in our home and to see. And sometimes we're going to have to take some measures that may seem strict, but they can be done with love in order to improve the interrelationship amongst family members. And it says some of the big pressures on American family is based maybe based on ideology. And we have to put those aside to some extent and look not at our own ideology. We have to look at what is good for the country as a whole. It is not good for the family. It's not good for the neighborhood. It's not good for the city or town where there is rampant crime, where there's rampant homelessness, where there is um, other forms of unethical acts going on. We need to seriously unite and work on a solution at the local level. It will not be overnight because it did not occur overnight. So we have to have a strategic plan and we must solicit those that are truly interested to work together from the community level with the schools, with law enforcement, and with parents. So we have to develop a mechanism to address that. And then the last thing on this slide, it says the share of parents living in a two-parent home is at the lowest point in more than half a century. 69% are in the type of family arrangement today, compared to 73% in 2000 and 87% in 1960. Now, that is a lot. And I can relate back because someone asked me a few weeks ago, I was being interviewed, and they asked me what were the difference of the children growing up today as it was when I was a teenager. So I was a teenager in 1960. And so the difference is that I had a two parent home. I had a mother and a father. Uh, they were working. They may not have had a whole lot, but they made ends meet and they taught us some values. And that is what's important. We need to return to and reclaim family values in our homes, which will hopefully transfer into our society, state, cities, state, counties, nations, all over. We'll see the benefits if we restore family values that existed back in the 1960s. Now, I know that's difficult because we've had so many things to come on the scene to detract us, and we have lost um, appears that we have lost a reverence for the Creator. So we need to restore, and our families need to return to that uh, reverence for God and the Creator, so that we can begin to change the trajectory of our families. Now, these are the references that I use for this uh, research, and they got Ethic and Public Policy Center, a 2022 Family Almanac, and then the Pew Research and the American Family Today is one of the um, reports that I used, and there was another report, news report from the Pew Research Center, and there, as I said, there's a lot of detail, and I don't want to bore you with a lot of statistics. However, I like to say to you that it's not going to get done by the Pew Research by themselves. They are just reporting. Families, concerned citizens, law enforcement, social workers, educators, retirees, we all need to come together at the local level to start building a rapport so that we can work together to tackle these problems. And when we have a strategic plan, we can do just that. We cannot just simply include people based on their economic status or based on the color of their skin. We have to look at this from a communal perspective, because as crime goes up and taxes goes up, everybody is affected. And everybody do not participate in that, but we get the other end of the stick, as someone says, but we can make a change. We can make an impact. And the way we make an impact, as I said, by working together, developing strategies, implementing those ideas, and then measuring the effectiveness of those ideas as we see them manifest. And then willing to make change, willing to cross the aisle, to meet with someone that may not look like us, may not have our same level of education, but have the same desire and concern to see that our cities, our towns, our states become a better place to live and raise children. We owe it to the children to do a better job of communicating, better job of teaching by example, how we live. So, as I said, I am going to be dealing, delving deeper into this from the Pew Research Center. And my prayer is that I come up with something that we can work together in the local area and in the surrounding areas. Because with automation and technology, we can get more accomplished by sharing with our neighbors. And sometimes our neighbors may be 30, 40, 50, 100 miles away through Zoom, through StreamYard, through other communication devices that are available to us to share the knowledge, do the planning, do the follow up that's necessary. Uh, we are all in it together, because unless we move, and we'll face some of those same problems if we move to another country, another city. The problems don't go away by themselves. We have to take uh, positive and sometimes aggressive action with love to accomplish some of the objectives that we have identified that's needed in our society. Not just in our society, but in our families. We need to find ways to reconnect families, to reunite families, to help the families change their view from pessimistic to optimistic in terms of the future outlook. I am very blessed to have had forward thinking parents who saw it fit to make sacrifices to ensure that all of us had a better opportunity to live life and enjoy life and anywhere we lived. So that's one of the things that I like to share with younger generation. What I call it is my succession planning for building up our younger generation. So with that, I'm going to end this broadcast today, but this is not the end because I plan to go into some serious planning. I have already started, as a matter of fact. And at some point within the next 2 weeks, I'd like to share what I have done in this area that I can share with the public to set up a structured program to build a strategy. Not only build, but build the strategy and implement the program and plans to see that it gets accomplished. So with that, I'm going to say good evening. And if you would like to reach me to discuss this matter, I can be reached at mlbealconsultingllc.com is my website. And my email is mlbealconsultingllc@gmail.com. So I believe I have a banner that I can uh, put up so that you can see it in case I was speaking um, uh, to, let's see, where are the banners? Let's see. Let me float this banner. Oh, there's one. There's, oh, that's an email there. mlbeal.mb@gmail.com is where you can reach me. And if you want to bless me, you can send it to mlbeal, $MLBeal. And if you want to bless the Women in Ministry TV, it's $WIMTV. You can bless the Women in Ministry uh, or by donating to WIMTV, $WIMTV. And thank you and have a good evening.